Good day, folks. Welcome to Andrew's Life. I'm coming at you once again here in Augusta, Georgia, at the at the Augusta Heritage Park. Well, for those of you that like to travel, this is going to be just the right video for you guys to watch. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of you guys that maybe you never really traveled a whole lot before, or you traveled very little at best. You're sick of your job. You're sick of where you're living. You're sick of your significant other. Maybe you're contemplating on getting a divorce, or you're contemplating on breaking off the relationship, whatever the case is. You're just sick of it all. You ready to just hang it all up, pack your luggage, jump in whatever vehicle, and live out of your vehicle for a little bit, or just travel the country and rent hotels or whatever the case might be, or live in a tent or whatever the case might be. You just had it. And guess what? Not so long ago, I was there. The only difference between me and many of you is I had the fortune to still be able to keep the sticks and bricks. Many of you, if you choose to give up your 9 to 5 and travel extensively, like be a full-time nomad or whatever the case, a lot of you may not have the luxury to keep your sticks and bricks. But even if you do have the luxury to keep your sticks and bricks while living a nomad life, this video is still for you. And I gotta say, throughout the years that I've moved around to different places, purchased different houses, traveled to different states, I'm gonna be open here to you guys, and I'm gonna admit to you guys, I made some very bad mistakes that have costed me a crap ton of money, a crap ton of my time and energy as well. What am I talking about? Well, there's a good old saying, and it goes something like this: no matter where you go, you take yourself. Now, although I realized that, I wasn't moving like I realized that, if that makes any sense to you guys. Like, what I mean is, like I told you guys before, I would say on average every 2 years, ever since I became an adult, on average every 2 years, I would pack up and I would move to a different place. In many cases, I would move to a different state. And I didn't really start to think about this until more recently, like when I got older, and when I got older, that no matter where I move, no matter what type of house I purchase, no matter whether I buy or I rent, no matter where I move, no matter what the climate of where I'm going to be moving to might be, at the end of the day, all the issues that I might have about myself, before I can truly move anywhere and be happy and live my life in peace and actually enjoy where I live, I gotta first take a little bit of time and do a little bit of soul searching and work on myself. I gotta take a little bit of time and try to figure out exactly what that void in my life is, or why it is I'm doing all this moving around. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's a struggle that I've been having for, I would say, a good part of my adult life. And as I get older, like I told you guys before, the older I get, the more and more, the less and less I want to move around. I mean, like I told you guys before, I really don't want to move again. Now, I'm going to kind of spoil you guys just a tad bit. I will be moving again, and this next time will be my last move. I will tell you guys more about that on other videos. But yeah, so for those of you that are getting ready to change your life, you're getting ready to hang it up and be a nomad or travel around, this is something that you guys need to take into consideration for your life. And I'm just using myself for an example on this video, because Like I said, you don't want to be like me. You want to do better than me. And when it comes to traveling, I mean, like I said, no matter, I mean, out of all the places I resided, out of all the places I traveled to, at the end of the day, there's still issues that I have, which I still need to work on. Now, one issue I've had for a real long time, for many years, was my finances. I mean, a lot of times, either A, I wasn't working the right type of jobs that paid the right type of income. B, I may have been making good money, but I blew my money on dumb stuff, so I was always broke. Now, that was, of course, in my younger years, back when I was in my 20s. And that was back when I really was out here wilding out and didn't have a clue about life. So, yeah, if you're looking at getting out here and traveling, number one, invest a little bit of time in yourself. Get to know yourself. Do some soul searching. I mean, get to know what you like, what you dislike. When it comes to the work you want to do, have a realistic view of what kind of work you want to do and what kind of work you're able to do and what kind of life you want to live and how much money you'll need to live that life. Now, I do admit, a few years ago when I first came here to Alabama and I decided to not work a 9 to 5, that was a very bad decision on my part. And I say that because prior to me coming here to Alabama, I never owned a business. I never ran a business, didn't know a damn thing about owning a business. I've always worked 9 to 5. See, what I should have done was, when I first came to Alabama, what I should have done was, I should have kept it 9 to 5, and then on the side, do my YouTube, do DoorDash, or whatever it is I was going to do to make that, I'll just say, independent money. That's what I should have done. But I didn't. Instead, when I came down here, I had a dream. And that dream, unfortunately, was not in reality. And as a result, it costed me a crap ton of money. And another thing is, I feel if I would have stayed a little bit more grounded and kept it 9 to 5 and done my little stuff like my YouTube on the side like I was when I was living up in Indiana before, I would have had more money right about now, and all in all, I would have been doing just a little bit better. Now, I'm not doing bad right now, but financially speaking, I would have been doing significantly better had I not stayed grounded and just stayed, and just kept it real with myself. Now, for those of you guys that have been following me for a while, I mean, I've sold a crap ton of houses within the last couple of years, and I've moved a ton of times within the last few years. And again, haven't I just kept it real with myself? When I first came to Alabama, I would have, the house I used to own a few years, about a couple of years ago, the house I used to own, I would have kept that house. And I would have kept a 9 to 5, and I would have done my YouTube on the side. But to be quite frank, I sold that house because, well, there was a void that I was wanting to fill. And I thought if I moved to another area, the people in that area would be a little better. And my life, therefore, would be a little better. But then when I got to that area, which is the area where I'm living right now, at first it was butterflies, but then as the newness wore off, it just became day-to-day living. And then I had to go back and do some soul searching. I had to go back and look within myself. The hard work of looking in which I should have done before I came here to Alabama, I had to do once I got here. Once I moved into my house a couple of years ago, I had to revisit that. And I pledged to myself at that time that I was not moving again. Unfortunately, where I'm living now, the economy in that region of Alabama is garbage, and that is the reason why I am going to be moving once again. I'm going to be moving somewhere where the economy is better, and I'm also a little closer into a larger city. Kind of like what I was talking about before. Kind of like what I encourage you guys to do, for those of you guys that work a 9 to 5 and you want to live in the country. I'm going to take my own advice and do exactly that. And I'll make more videos about that as that time arises. But after that, I'm not moving no more. And honestly, I did not really want to move at this point, but just for the sake of me being able to make a decent living for myself, I'm going to. And like I said, haven't I just kept it real a few years ago when I first got here? Haven't I done all the homework and looked within myself before I got here a few years ago? I would have kept that house I had a couple of years ago, kept a 9 to 5, and then just done my own thing on the side. So yeah, for those of you that are getting ready to get out here, you're getting ready to travel, you've had it, your job is making you mad or whatever the case might be, my advice is to save yourself a crap ton of money and a crap ton of time. Your best bet is to first look within yourself and ask yourself, why do you want to travel? Why do you want to quit your job and travel? Why do you want to give up your apartment or your house? And then once you figure out the answer to those questions, then you want to figure out, okay, well, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? And how much, roughly, is it going to cost you to live that life? And what type of work is available that you desire to do, that you'll be able to do to where you can afford to live that life? Where you have to work 2 jobs? I mean, how many hours a week will you have to work on this job? And then, of course, once you figure that out, then you got to ask yourself, are you willing to do it? And for how long? And another thing you're going to want to ask yourself is, what are your long-term goals? Do you plan to live the nomad life, let's say, temporarily? Do you plan to do it long-term? Do you plan to do it only for a handful of months or years? If you don't know the answer to that question, ask yourself this question. When that day comes to where you wake up and you decide that you no longer want to be a nomad, you want to go back to living the sticks and bricks life, are you going to have, what's your exit plan? Are you going to have the money necessary to go back to a sticks and bricks type of life? And of course, when it comes to your work, obviously, before you quit your job, it's a good idea to give a 2-week notice, especially if you're working at a job you like. And that's another thing. When you go back to the sticks and bricks normal life, so to speak, are you going to also go back to working a 9 to 5, or do you think you're going to have your own thing going at that time? And if you're one of these people that are having relationship trouble, you're gonna have to, again, you're gonna have to dig within yourself and ask yourself, why are you having relationship problems? I mean, it's convenient to blame the other person, and sometimes it might be their fault. But what if it's your fault as well as it might be their fault? Or what if it's all your fault? See, those are all questions that you need to ask yourself before you choose to quit your job and change your entire life. Before you take a ton of money that you've probably been saving to go out and buy that RV, these are all things you need to think about. And another thing is, obviously, you need to have a crap ton of money set aside in savings for both. Like if you're gonna buy an RV, you need to have, I would say, at least a few $1,000s set aside for repairs. And on top of that, you need to have, I would say, a minimum of maybe 4 months worth of living expenses when you first get out there. Because whatever work you're gonna do as a nomad, whether it be YouTubing or whether it be just going out here and working seasonal jobs here and there, what if you get out there and things don't work out your way? Then what you gonna do? What if after a couple of months you discover, you know what, I can't do this right now. I'm ill prepared. I need to go back to the drawing board and figure something else out. So yeah, those are all things that you're gonna want to take into consideration before you get out here and travel. I mean, please don't do like what I did. Don't get out here and want to quit your 9 to 5 and travel extensively and move around here and there and everywhere in between without first taking the time to do some soul searching to first get to know yourself. Now I know for a lot of you, you're anxious. You're thinking, man, I'm crazy. I'm gonna go out here and do what I do. I'm not listening to you. And obviously it's your life. You do whatever. But I'm making this video because I would say just within the last couple of years, I have lost a crap ton of money because I failed to do what I was supposed to do a few years ago when I first came to Alabama, which was to do some soul searching within and see what it is that I was truly looking for and just keeping it real with myself. But if you take my advice, whatever move you choose to make is not going to be in vain. You're going to love what you do. You're going to love where you live. And you're going to have a lot more money at the end of the day. But if you choose to not take my advice and you just want to throw caution to the wind and do what you do, then you're going to lose a crap ton of money. You're going to lose a crap ton of money. And you're going to probably spend a lot of your time frustrated or just downright miserable. And I don't want that for none of y'all out here. So for those of you that are looking at moving or you're looking at changing your life, I wish every last one of you the best of luck. And until next time, stay strong, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.